What did you feel when you watched the video of George Floyd being killed?
I was outraged. It was an act of murder, and reality is, and no one can tell me otherwise. My son Michael had a harder time than my son Jack is going to have simply because of the color of his skin.
Do you remember George Floyd, the guy that said I couldn't breathe and was high on fentanyl before he got arrested and was pinned down? The guy that served 8 jail terms for drug possession and theft, trespass? The guy that pointed a gun at a pregnant lady's stomach, not sure where the feminists were with that one? Yes, we're still complaining about his so-called murder from one of the biggest political trials of all time, who had jurors that likely feared for their life, so they had to cave into mob mentality. All George Floyd had to do was simply comply with the police, and nothing bad would have happened. This time, it's Mike Johnson, the House Majority Leader, being the professional complainer, who is one of the biggest disappointments of all time that is currently busy wasting our money with Ukraine and Israel, basically painting George Floyd as the next MLK-style figure like every other Democrat, saying he was outraged when he saw the arrest video. Like, give me a break. How hard can a man pander to the establishment?
What did you feel when you watched the video of George Floyd being killed?
I was outraged. I don't think anyone can view the video and objectively come to any other conclusion but that it was an act of murder. And I felt that initially, as everyone did. It's so disturbing. And, you know, the underlying issues beneath that are something that the country is now struggling with. And I think it's something we have to look at very soberly and with a lot of empathy. And I'm glad to see that's happening around the country.
Well, yes, black people recently got accepted to universities at a higher rate with more scholarship, and I recognize affirmative action is illegal. I still believe there's going to be a hidden form of it, including getting hired at a higher rate. Every ad has more black people than what is currently represented in the population. I mean, I don't know if you have seen the Target ads, but they are just atrocious. It's like they're trying to find someone more diverse than the next, like to outwoke each other. It's truly bizarre. But there is privilege in America, but what I can tell you is that it's not white privilege.
You know, what it's taught me is we now have 4 other children of our own. And my oldest son, Jack, ironically, this year is 14. And I've thought often through all these ordeals over the last couple of weeks about the difference in the experiences between my 2 14-year-old sons, Michael being a Black American and Jack being white, Caucasian. They have different challenges. My son Jack has an easier path. He just does. Their reality is, and no one can tell me otherwise. My son Michael had a harder time than my son Jack is going to have simply because of the color of his skin. And that's a reality. It's an uncomfortable, painful one to acknowledge, but people have to recognize that's a fact.
What should we do about that?
I think that we really do need systematic change. I think we need transformative solutions.
To talk about systemic racism, then to say we need transformative solutions without actually offering any solutions is the standard issue Democrat rhino establishment response that has no meaning. I mean, what is currently in the system that is holding back Black Americans? Do we need more money with welfare? No, that is simply a way to slave yourself to the government forever. Do we need more tight gun control laws? Well, the cities with the toughest gun control laws are the ones with the most crime. Or do we need a cultural shift in the African American community to the level of the Asian Americans to get them back on track? That's clearly the best answer to attack racial issues, not adding more racial policies or handouts that will further divide us. We need to attack what is exactly keeping African Americans in welfare, in gangs, in a lifestyle that is anti-father and mother in the household, wasting their money on expensive chains and watches. Better schooling and more government is not a replacement for having positive role models in the home that value being on time, value being polite, cleanliness, and a great work ethic. This is more of a ghetto hood culture than it is a black culture. And Democrats are the most misleading thing to the ghetto culture. If you want to get those types of people out of poverty, it's going to take a generation-length mindset switch by making them not depend on welfare that is exactly slaving them to the system.